Trump explodes his Fox News sides with Canada over brutal 50% tariff trade war. Yeah. 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 Let me tell you a story, no fiction, just facts, about a trade war that split the nation right down its tracks. It started with talks between two neighbor lands, America and Canada shaking on old plans. But by August 21st, the table went cold. Negotiations collapsed and a new chapter unfolds. Over that weekend, the tariffs came down, 50% hitting goods all around. $20 billion worth of wine and cement too. Hockey gear, farm products, the list just grew. Signed, sealed, delivered, no time to prepare. Businesses on both sides just stood there and stared. Then came the Prime Minister, a man named Carney. He stood at his podium calm but not sorry. Said Canada would answer, dollar for dollar, matching tariffs. Come and hear the people holler. Steel and dairy, appliances too. September 8th marked on the calendar, right on cue. Now here's where the story takes a curious turn, because the network that always stood by his side, the one that cheered terrorists with patriotic pride, started asking questions live on the air. A correspondent spoke up and the room went bare. Are we headed for economic war with Canada? The anchor asked plainly, no drama, no fire. And the answer that came back made the whole desk perspire. Let's hope not, because both countries depend on this trade. These threats create uncertainty, growth gets delayed. Remember, a tariff is another word for tax. Less economic movement, that's just the facts. Another voice added calm and matter of fact. Don't forget, a tariff's a tax. That's not opinion, that's a pact. That's not me saying it, that's the network on air. Live correspondents speaking with care. So the story goes, the friendly channel that always agrees started sounding like skeptics planting a seed, talking uncertainty, talking about cost, talking about the American families feeling the loss. Meanwhile, on social media, the response came fast, calling out Canada for policies from the past, saying they want the benefits without the state-owned tariffs on farmers, still up for debate, and threats of even higher tariffs to land on autos and trucks come January as planned. This is the story, no need to pretend. Real tariffs, real talks that came to an end. Real retaliation, dollar match with dollar. Real coverage on there that makes some hearts holler. The channel that usually stood on one side found itself asking questions, unable to hide from the economics, from the numbers, the trade, from the uncertainty that tariffs have made. So when they say the anchor turned, then the coverage went strange. Understand, it's not fiction, it's simply a change in tone and questions and cautious debate about tariffs and consequences, about trading its weight. 20 billion in goods, 50% on the line. The neighbor retaliating right on time. September approaching, the deadline is near. Both nations watching, uncertainty clear. This is history playing out day by day. Trade wars don't vanish, they don't fade away. They ripple through prices, through farms, through the docks, through wine and through cement, through hockey and stocks, through families budgeting, through businesses too, through headlines and networks, through me and through you. So that's the story, straight without a twist. Real numbers, real dates, real names on the list. 50% tariffs, a prime minister stand, a network asking questions it once wouldn't demand. Two nations locked in an economic embrace, watching each other, waiting to see who blinks first in this race. No insults, no anger, just history unfolding. A trade war in motion, its consequences beholding. Told plain, told clear, told exactly as it came. A story of tariffs, retaliation, and the channel's changing frame. The man who's been talking tariffs for years, no sleeper. On social media, on Truth Social, he wrote it clear. Said Canada wants the benefits without the appearance of being a state. That's the phrase that he used. calling out policies he feels have long confused. The fairness between neighbors, the balance of trade. Old tariffs on farmers, a debt he says wasn't paid. And it doesn't stop there, because more is still coming. Threats on the table, the engine's still humming. Autos and trucks, auto parts and steel. A January 1st deadline, 2027 for real. Higher tariffs promised if things don't turn around. The pressure building, the stakes on the ground. Now on the other side, the U.S. Trade Representative Jamie Greer spoke on air, informative, answering questions about the collapse, talks about the path forward, about where this walks. Interviews stacked on interviews, coverage running deep. Both countries' economies too big to just sleep. So here's where the story circles back to the start, to the coverage on air that played its part. The same network, the one they usually agree, started laying out consequence, planting the seed of what these tariffs really mean for the people. Not just headlines and politics under a steeple, but real cost, real numbers, real families paying more for goods crossing borders, for what crosses the store. Because here's the thing about tariffs, plain and true: the taxes on imports paid by me and by you, not paid by the other country, like some like to say. Paid at the border, then passed on our way to the register, to the shelf, to the bill. That's basic economics, no spin, no thrill. And that's what got said live on the air by voices that usually don't go there. So when people ask why the coverage felt strange, understand economics don't bend to arrange themselves around loyalty, around the preferred side. Numbers are numbers, they don't run and hide. And when a correspondent lays out simple truth, it's not betrayal, it's not breaking from a booth, it's just reporting what tariffs really do to supply chains, to prices, to me and to you. So Canada answers with matching restraint, dollar for dollar, no sugar, no paint. Target is steel, Target and dairy and more. Appliance, equipment, paper and store shelves galore. September the 8th is the day that it starts. Two economies intertwined, playing their parts. This is the story, still playing out live. Not scripted, not fiction, still trying to survive. The back and forth, the tariffs and talks, the retaliation matching each side's walks. The coverage that shifted from cheerleader to check, asking real questions, showing respect for the facts on the ground, for the cost that it brings, for the weight that the trade war quietly swings onto farmers, onto families, onto the working hand, onto both sides of this economic land. So that's the extra chapter, still told straight and true. No insults, no anger, just what's coming through. The tariffs, the talks, the retaliation ahead, the words that were spoken, the coverage that spread. History still writing itself day by day. Two neighboring nations finding their way through numbers, through headlines, through coverage that grew. A trade war unfolding, told plain and true.